each other.
All right. So, Eric, you actually play bass, don't you?
Yeah, I did.
I
yeah.
completely.
Well, I mean, I don't
forgot.
anymore.
You don't anymore.
Because who hangs around their house and plays bass alone?
Joe Drury.
Does he?
Yeah. Nobody knows who
If
Joe
I
Drury
had,
is.
I have a drummer who lives across the street and up, and I know simply because in the summertime, the windows start to open right now in the spring, and you can't help but hear there's a drummer. There's a drummer somewhere. So I ought to get the bass rig, and move it over there because you can actually, you can.
Do you know where he's at?
Yeah, I do actually.
Oh, okay. I thought you just said like there's just a drummer like
No,
somewhere in your general area.
Over across the street, up a couple of houses.
It would be really funny
His
if
daughter
you literally
babysits, so I should just show up one day with my stuff.
See, that's not as cool of a story. It should be
Forget
the
that,
story
I'm
where
sorry.
it's like,
Start
I
back
don't know
over.
where this drummer is, so I'm just going to take my bass rig and just hook it up in the middle of the play and just start playing.
I could put it on
Like-
I could just put it on a cart with a long cord
Yeah.
and just start walking up the street.
Yeah.
You got those
Like-
portable amps that
like
you can
it.
hook on your hip and
That's
just
true.
walk up and
I
down the
have seen those.
sidewalk. And
Or like John Cusack and say anything. Just, just
Sadly,
walk-
I just not too long ago, I got rid of my 2x15 and my 4x10 cabinets because I'm like, what am I doing with these speaker cabinets just sitting in my basement? So they're gone. So I don't have any. I have no amplification anymore.
My brother keeps trying to buy my guitar equipment because he's still playing, and I don't. I don't have I can't do it. I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, and that's what I still own. I've got 2 basses and 3 guitars that are electric that I don't. I mean, what do they do? They're just in a case, and I'm not going to get rid of them. But then the acoustic guitar, I do. I play that. Yeah, I enjoy that.
Rarely. I used to have them up on the wall, and I don't have them up on the wall anymore because Connor, my son, will take them down and everything else, and they're a little bit too expensive to just let them play with yet.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good segue into this. No, there's a segue here. The segue is this, that as we start, today's the health talk, right? We're going to talk about health a little bit. And I think one of the main components of health that I'm going to be sure we touch on today is the whole mental health stress thing. And so I think, as we talk about music, you realize that there's a release that occurs, right, when you play music or you're involved, listen, whatever. And those are important. It's very easy for us to kind of forget that that the things that we grew up loving are probably things that we need to maintain some kind of attachment to in our life so that we can end up in a place where we're at any point in time we're able to say, hey, I'm just going to handle this stressor of life right now with a little bit of relaxation and some music.
Yeah.
That's one example. So.
and we have Donovan Conrad with us here.
Hello.
So hi, how you doing, Donovan? Donovan is one of the athletes at the garage. He's a garagian. And he knows a lot about health. He doesn't have any type of certifications or anything like that, but I would call him kind of a health nut. He's definitely into food porn. He's definitely into.
You can Facebook friend Donovan
Yep.
Conrad. Is it just Facebook and then the /? Did you get a name, Donovan Conrad? And you're good? Yep. So you can find him that way.
I've probably actually learned more about food and general, those types of things from Donovan than when I took, nutrition courses and things like that.
That's true. It's funny. I get a lot of people in my practice, and I'll talk more about my practice as we go tonight or today, so that we can really.
Ooh, I
get into
can't
that.
wait.
Yeah, but I'll get people who come to me and they say, Dr. Eric, I really had an interest in this health thing, and so I think I want to go back to school to become a nutritionist. Like, oh, gee, I'm sorry to burst your bubble there, but there's no such thing as school for a nutritionist. What that is, it's school to be a pawn of the system that doesn't know anything about nutrition. So don't do that. It's
Screw the man.
What's my career path? Get passionate, get knowledgeable, hook up with Donovan, right? And then just go out there and start teaching people. I mean, that's what I tell them. Just start to teach people, get comfortable being a leader, and then before you know it, you'll get a following, and then you'll figure something out.
Yeah. That's exactly how you should do it.
I think that's the way.
You don't need any actual knowledge. Just use yourself as a guinea pig.
We could actually start garage media nutrition classes. Can we get a certification? I mean,
why not?
I don't think we can give
Everybody else does.
degrees quite yet, but maybe with a little bit of work, we could give degrees. Not much. It'd be good. Donovan, would you sign up for a degree in nutrition from us, you think?
sure.
See? if the price is right. I mean,
But Donovan just signs up for anything, though.
Yeah.
Donovan is absolutely he's probably our I don't know. Would you say he's like our most on-board athlete?
he's our patriarch. That's
there
what I
you go.
call
That's
him.
the word. That's
You've
the word.
extracted more money out of me than anyone else.
What I love
We're
about
repaying
Donovan
you.
is he's got Garage Game stuff on here. So that shirt's from Garage Games 2010. First year we did a whole bunch of cool T-shirts that year, And Donovan's the kind of guy who's like, okay.
And that's 2012.
He's like, hey, I need to get one of every, but I can't get them all right now. You're going to keep my sizes around? That's Donovan for you. He'll get every T-shirt.
So Donovan, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, because you're in great shape, good athlete. You are about to start doing some weightlifting meets because we found out that your numbers are so good it could take you to nationals. So that's cool for your age group, right? But more importantly, what do you do? Because you've got an IT background, right?
Right. So.
Hey, I was going to inject real quick because I don't want to lose the chance to say this, but yeah, I have envied Donovan's ability to move barbells around in the appropriate technique ever since he came into the gym. I'm like, dang it, this guy can he can squat snatch from the day one. So anyways, go ahead. You do a good job of that.
Thank you. So no athletic background whatsoever. Come from the IT support kind of world.
You don't call military athletic though?
Yeah, come on.
Well, okay.
You're a Marine, right?
Okay, all right. I do, but I was a Marine 20 years ago. So
is it different from Marines now, you think?
Yeah, well, no, it's just
the time gap.
I hit the couch after that for
I gotcha.
20 years.
I gotcha.
So, yeah, and so that I don't know. I don't know how much you want to know. I've been a member of the Garage almost since the beginning. So 5 years or just over 5 years.
Now. Remind me of how you found the gym too.
Driving down the road and saw this tiny sign caught my eye, and I just
you're the only one that's ever seen that sign.
That's why I brought it. I knew that. That's how it got in. That's why I brought it.
Yeah. So I'd heard of CrossFit a few earlier that year. Had a friend that was doing it in another state, and so had heard of it, had seen the name before. But
even when you were in the military, though, you've always been in good shape. You've always been very attractive man.
Absolutely.
I've seen quite a few pictures of you, and your
had
hair was luxurious,
yeah.
Amazing, almost as good as Nick's.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some of the pictures that you post up there in the back, you get 10,000 people commenting. I'm like, I can't believe that's you, because you literally look like you were in Journey or something like that. It was unbelievable. But have you always been?
Did you tour with them ever?
No, okay. Have you always been into health, even though you weren't necessarily a couch fit? When did you switch to I've got to have organic? I've got to do all this. Was there a point to you where you were like, okay, I'm really out of shape and I need to change something?
Yeah.
Because I could never see you as not being healthy, knowing you for a couple years now.
I was Taco Bell and Mountain Dew for years.
Wow.
And it was all fast food and terrible things and everything out of a box. And a smoker.
Nice.
Yeah, so smoker for many years, and just a slug, and just kind of doughy slug.
I like the slug.
What turned you around then?
I think nearing 40. I think I turned. Okay. I was 38, almost on the verge of 39, and I was like, this is when people start getting sick and dying and all kinds of things. They start getting on prescription medications and all these kind of things. So that kind of scared me, I guess, just kind of waking up to that. And so the fitness thing started first, as getting physically active. And then from that, of course, you get involved in CrossFit and you get exposed to all kinds of other health-related things, diet.
So I remember when we added the nutrition forum to our website. Was that driven by you? Did you ask us to add that? I think
yes.
You did. I thought so. Yeah. So that's what I thought was really cool. When Donovan got, when you won the chance to be on this podcast, that was, through our Facebook page, you won that. And I know you're like, what, really? I got to do what? But then I thought, hey, we're going to talk about health. And part of the reason why I thought that right away was because I remembered, we started the nutrition forum. I'm pretty sure because Donovan said, we need a nutrition forum on our website. And so that was pretty cool. So did you start, was the first thing that you did Dietary in the CrossFit world, was that Zone? Did you go Zone first?
Yeah.
Tell me about how that went. Just curious.
So it was all right. It was a good thing because most people have no idea what they're taking in, what kind of volume or what macronutrients or anything like that. So
we take that for granted too, right? Because I know that I just assume everybody knows that, sure. A certain amount of food, per gram and protein, how much is in 4 ounces of chicken. I assume all that kind of stuff, but
Yeah,
you know,
most
the
of us
general
have no
public
idea.
have no idea.
Right.
Yeah. No,
Right.
no
So
clue.
that was a good thing for me. It just forced me to write down, keep a log, write down everything I was eating, and have just a better idea of what I was doing, and whether I was way off or had things under control. So I liked it for that. Long-term zone wasn't good for me.
Did your family think you were obsessive compulsive?
Yeah, I made
They still do?
my girlfriend do it with me.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I started it, all my family was like, "Really, you're weighing and measuring your food? You're already in okay shape. Like, why do that? That's ridiculous."
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, "No, but you have to do it. You've got to do it, or you don't know." And which is crazy because you really don't. But at some point, I think everybody should.
Yeah, I think you hit it right there, right? That even though we realize that maybe you don't need to, that everyone should go through at least a period where they get that experience to really, understand,
Yeah.
right? There's
I
knowledge
honestly-
that comes from that.
I don't think Zone is a great diet. I think it's a great idea to get people to understand what macronutrients are and what makes them feel good and what amounts.
Yeah.
But,
Well-
I mean, the whole like blocks this, and this.
I know you hit the hammer on the head there, though, right? Because so now we can come back to what is the purpose of our podcast today, and it's the whole, we call it the health talk, or the health is fitness, talk, right? Like that's kind of what we're talking about. And so when you look at a diet that's truly designed to be a performance diet, and that's it, right? It's designed to be a performance diet. Then we have to pull back and obviously start to poke holes and say, well, does that mean that it's going to be a healthy diet, or does that mean it's going to help me perform better at times? And and maybe it does for a lot of people, helps them perform really well, and maybe for other people it doesn't. It's kind of hard to say if it's the best one across the board for everybody. But that really is the focus of our talk today, is to understand, is this thing that we do, is this health? Is this really health? Or is health, is this one component of health? Is health a combination of other components? And I think that's really where we want to go today with this discussion. So, but let's come back to where we were just right then, Donovan. So tell me, you go through the Zone diet, and then what happened next? Did you graduate right into say, hey, let's try paleo, or what'd you do after that?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of exposed to both. And one thing I found with Zone is to get all my blocks, particularly carb blocks, it kind of forced me to not eat so clean, just to get them down, because it's hard to put down 8 cups of broccoli, so you're like, oh, I'll just eat this piece of bread instead, and then
I remember having a
out.
wash tub of spinach every single meal.
Yeah, so
just to try and get 2 blocks
to get
in.
the volume down, I started making maybe not so great choices to get it done. So I think I lean more towards kind of the paleo from Zone.
Yep.
And
Well, I
just
did it
trying to be more
both.
clean.
I was like, well, I got to do paleo and Zone.
Yeah,
because
Zone your paleo.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it was
A lot
right
of
around
people
the
do
same
that.
time. Yeah, and God, I lost so much weight.
A lot of people turn into sweet potato-aholics then.
But see, I didn't even have sweet potatoes.
Yeah, so you were more
I didn't even
strict
do
on
that. No, it was
Yeah. So, hey,
absolutely
if it's
and
in the ground, you don't eat it.
a decent amount of fruits, but really mostly vegetables, and it was so difficult. And I would drop from 195 to 165 at 6'1", and I put some pictures up a while back, and some people saw it.
The chicken legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was like, I've never had huge legs, right? So yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Absolutely.
Right?
Here to help.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Anyways, but it was horrible. Everybody was like, "Oh, you look emaciated, this and that." I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm in the best shape of my life. I've never blah 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 blah." But I really was. I was not probably where I needed to be. Probably the most healthy. I was really lean. I was walking around at about 6% body fat or so. But I started having I was getting so lean, I started having GI issues and headaches and all these other things. It was not really health anymore. It was more along the lines of just really lean, which is not healthy.
That's what happens, right? In pursuit of something, and this is kind of what I see a lot. So in my practice, my practice is it's a maximized living practice. So you can go, hey, maximizedliving.com, check it out. But it's this group of chiropractors, and so just to kind of understand the chiropractic thing. A lot of times people are like, oh, that chiropractic thing, what is it? It's a back pain, neck pain thing. But our premise is that what we do as a chiropractor is one of 5 essentials to health. And that one essential that we have as chiropractic is simply that the nervous system is freaking awesome, right? So it better work well if you want to be healthy. So, I have very few people who are back pain, neck pain who come into my office on a regular basis. And I mean, for a decade now, we've been seeing between 500 and 800 patients a week. I actually think our best year in the year, we had like 38,000 patient visits over the course of the year. And
But you're stop right there, because I know that I had a bad taste in my mouth for chiropractors for a really long time, just because of things that I've heard from different people, my father included. And there's definitely a difference between pain practitioners and wellness practitioners. So like, say that right off the bat, so people aren't like, oh, this guy's a freaking hack or whatever, you know?
Yeah, no, so with the focus, I mean, obviously our focus, and this is the thing to understand, that the conversations that I have in my practice, they're based on wellness, because the average person who comes in is a wellness patient. So a good understanding of my belief is that if your nervous system is working better than if you have cancer, if you have diabetes or heart disease, that you'll simply be better able to handle, deal, overcome, compensate, whatever for those conditions if your nervous system works better. So it's a simple, hey, our focus is let's find a way to measure nervous system function, and let's improve that over time. And let's keep measuring and keep measuring and keep holding ourselves accountable to a measure so that we know that we can find improvement, right? So I say all that to then say that these conversations that take place in my office are very health-based conversations. You know, when over the course of a year, if you got 38,000 people who walk in and out of your doors, if it's all wellness, then you're going to have more conversations about diet, more conversations about stress, more conversations about sleep and toxins and fitness than you ever will about, oh, does your back hurt?
Yeah, and then that's what I was going to say is like probably most people think like, well, my neck hurts, I'm going to go to a chiropractor, so it'll put me up again for another 2 weeks or whatever, so I don't have to go back there.
Yeah, and I think that's just a disaster of what we're designed to do, right? So now, okay, all of that to come to these 5 essentials, and I want to make sure we hit these today a little bit. So that chiropractic, the nervous system, that's one of them right there. So we're done with that. Now, the mind, the thing we started with when we talked about stress, playing some music, getting the stress out, I think that is probably the most critical place that people have to go to and to take care of themselves in our culture. That's just completely overlooked because we are a stressed out culture. I mean, we're a disaster.
And not just mentally or physically. There's 6 different types of stress.
There
right?
are, exactly.
And you've got everything from electromagnetic to the sun. Everything is going chemical. Everything is going to create some type of stress for you, rather good or bad.
Exactly.
And you have to find all of those things, and you have to figure out, okay, what is my level of stress in my mental range, right? What is my level of stress in my physical range? You know, is it up above that line where I'm in my parasympathetic nervous system, or is it below that line?
Exactly.
So,
because if you're hanging out in parasympathetic all the time, then man, you are messing up your system. Of course, there's that. You know, I don't like to overdo the cortisol conversation because I feel like it is overdone a lot.
Well, explain it. Explain the parasympathetic nervous system, because you probably have a better understanding of it than I do, and talk about that, because I'm sure most people honestly don't know what the hell it is, right? So
yeah, well, basically though, this is what you look at. I mean, just if you divide yourself out and you've got these 2 sides, we say fight or flight and feed or breed, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're in fight or flight response, so in that response, the issue there is that your body is always preparing for a stress. So we sometimes look at that and say, well, that response is a bad response, we'd say, but the reality is, well, it's a good response if there's a reason to have it. In other words, if it comes to that point where I need to fight or flee, then I want it. I want the cortisol production because I want the immediate boost of energy that I get from that, because that can basically
elevated heart rate.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to disintegrate, tissues to turn them into ATP, so I have energy, right? Yeah. Well, that's okay in that moment if I have to really do something great. Elevate heart rate. Also, it's going to basically you're going to open up, all your blood vessels, so you're going to have this immediate dilation of arterioles or arteries, excuse me. So basically, now you're ready for this blood flow to just pound through your body, so you're ready to respond. Well, the issue is if that's always the case, then you have this higher blood pressure to make up for the dilation. So now you've got high blood pressure. You've got cortisol that's always there, so you're always just breaking down and breaking down tissues. And then what's going to happen? All that extra energy is going to turn into fat storage, right? So we talk about cortisol causing fat storage. That's a secondary effect of the fact that it's basically releasing, sugar into the bloodstream by breaking down tissues.
And then also we can't forget that it stops all of our other systems, right?
It does,
like
yeah.
Our
so
elimination process.
It does.
And
It
all
shuts
that.
down all these things that would be kind of like, these are, I don't need these right now because I need to fight, right?
Yeah.
So I got to fight. So so we shut down all sorts of other stuff, and you shut, all the blood flow goes out to your periphery, so you can fight, you can run, you can push, you can do those things. So basically digestion just goes into shutdown mode. And really, you shut down a lot of brain function too in that process because your brain, it's like, what do I need to think about? I just need to think about running or fighting. So not a good place to live, right?
Yeah. But you have to be there to be able to go back down to recover from it.
You do.
And
So
that's
there's always
kind of process.
Yeah, and that's something, when you come up and down too, it's a very healthy thing with that hormone level because now your body learns how to respond to it. You learn how to utilize that for positive, right?
And the other one that we're talking about is the sympathetic nervous system.
Yeah,
so you've got the parasympathetic and sympathetic.
Yeah, so basically, and the two, one is activated and one is dormant, and they kind of work, opposite. I mean, they're in harmony together. That's basically the way to think about it. Is one elevates, one depresses, and it just kind of moves back and forth. So when we look at that, the stress thing, the mental stress thing, I think is, what do we do? So Donovan, I think you're a good example of someone who seems to have a career situation that doesn't stress you.
You've got it all figured out.
And is that? Would you say that's true?
No, there's spikes.
There are the spikes?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've managed to maintain low stress most days, and I work from home most of the time, which is nice, and keep it pretty low mostly through the week. But then I do have after hours kind of on call standby support schedule, and that can involve down servers in the middle of the night kind of thing, and that's
a stressful
when
moment
things
there.
can get stressful.
Yeah, and that's something. I mean, I guess we should stop and just say, I don't think, and I believe that you guys would agree, that there's not a way to exist in life without stressors.
Well, you have to have them,
I mean,
right?
I would think so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're never in a stress state, you don't have anything to recover from, right? So your body just gets complacent, I guess is a word that I was use. Just like if you don't work out at all, you don't have anything to recover from, so your body isn't going to get stronger. But it's that balance of, if there's a line here, above it is parasympathetic and below it is sympathetic, you want to make sure that you go up to have that stressor and then go below to be able to recover from that stressor. Because the biggest thing that I tell everybody is that you don't get stronger, and I'll give this Chris Morris, a great quote that he did, you don't get stronger from doing work, you get stronger from recovering from doing work, right? And it's kind of that same process.
So the problem then in our culture is that so many people don't ever come down.
No.
I mean, that's the issue, and it really is such a big issue. So I think, when we pull back and look at, well, what is health? What is health? What is health? I think one of the first things that a lot of people have to identify is, how am I in my life with my stress levels, my mental stress levels? I mean, just start right there. And are they always up? And if they are, then you have to make a decision. We've done some great research in the past. I say research, basically just searching the research. And it's amazing how many references you'll find to heart disease and stress levels. And you start looking at the published literature that's out there. It's a very, very strong correlation. And so knowing that 875,000 people dying per annum in our country from heart disease, from cardiovascular disease, I would think that it'd be a really urgent thing for us to identify that, hey, we need to manage the stress side a lot better.
Yeah, but the way that it's the way that they look is they don't look at it from the more holistic side. They look at it from the from the pharmacy.
Yeah,
right.
You're right. So I guess, hey, let's stop there then real quick as we get into maybe talking about toxins really quick. Donovan, you mentioned not too long ago that at 38 years old, you started thinking about fitness and health because this is when people start to get fat, old, sick, and die. And then you mentioned, and they start taking prescription medications. So then is it safe to say that in your mind, you think it's a bad idea to be stuck on prescription medications?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a dumb question, I think, right? But it's one that we have to actually stop and make people think about. You really do, because if no one ever stops and thinks about it, then they're not going to think about how important it would be for them to not be on prescription meds. So, but if you ask the question, hey, if everyone listened to this one, do any of you aspire to be on drugs? Is that your goal? Do any of you have an aspiration to be on drugs? Yeah, I know.
Oh, not recreational. Okay.
Not recreational. Prescription medications. Like, who wants to be taking Zelnorm for the rest of their life? All right, cool. I see. If we ask the question, it's, we're back to that stress world. If we ask the question, then the response is going to be, well, no, I don't really want to be there, right? Like, I don't aspire to be on drugs. Well, then great. So then how are you going to ensure that you're not going to be on them? And so what was your step? How are you going to ensure that you're not going to be on them? What did you do to take that step?
First step was join the garage.
Yeah, first step, join the garage.
And then start the nutrition forum.
Start getting educated. Start learning, reading.
Reading is a good step.
So just starting to do something maybe is a first step, right? Take that first active jump or whatever. Yeah, that's definitely probably the most important thing that you can do is have some type of drive, because like you said, nobody wants to be on drugs. Nobody wants to feel crappy, but the problem is that most people aren't willing to do that first step or what it takes to be healthy because it's too much trouble.
Yeah. Well, the culture though, so I love kind of putting it back out there that our culture says that, if you start looking at what culture says, it looks at two things and says, oh, well, you don't want to take prescription drugs, you better start working out and eating right. And I say, hey, that's a great start. Like, I agree, that's a great start. But then we already identified that in your path to eating right, you identified that you weren't eating clean. So now there's a bigger definition, right? Like we sometimes fail to realize. Like, I'll ask people in my practice, they come in and they say, we ask them, well, how's your diet? And I say, I don't ask them. I got someone else who asked this question. I'm busy, but
it's too important.
They ask the question, but I'm going to come through and read it though. I always come in and read the answer, and I say, hey, I see here that on the nutrition question that you said that it's good. There's poor, there's fair, there's good, there's great.
Where everybody says that too. Yeah. Everybody eats different. It's like, I eat pretty healthy. Okay, no, that's not. That's like the same thing as like, I'm a human being. Like, everybody considers, like, it's so broad. Like, everybody comes to me when I ask them, like, what is your nutrition like? And they all say, well, they'll either say, I eat like crap, or I eat pretty good. They don't say, like, oh, I'm on a paleo diet, or I'm trying to stay away from carbs.
Well, that's it right there, right? Yeah. So that your next question when they say it's pretty good is, well, good, define that for me.
Yeah.
Right? And so as soon as you ask someone to define it, we, being in what we do, will quickly start to identify that they have no clue what they're talking about. They think they eat healthy, but the reality is they eat marketing.
Yep.
Oh, you consume marketing for breakfast, I see. So when you read the cereal bar box, you think that's a good idea.
It's whole grain.
Have you ever noticed that you can't even pronounce 90% of the ingredients on the list, and you can't fit it into one, like a photo from your phone? You need to do a scroll down. You need to do a video. Because the ingredient list is 35 things, and then each of the things has like 15 things to make the thing. Like the filling, right? The filling. And the filling's got 15 things to make the filling. I'm like, ay. Right? But this is the reality that we live in, is that diet now, what it becomes is it becomes another essential of health, which is the minimized toxins essential for health. Now, I think it's awesome. I purposely did this. I went out and got a Starbucks today and brought this and said, listen, I appreciate drinking Starbucks. I like it. Tastes real good. But I have no question in my mind that this is a dirty drink.
Oh, absolutely.
It's chemically sprayed, toxic beans that I have to do some work now that I've consumed it.
And by the way,
like my liver,
coffee beans are one of the most...
They are.
One of the highest level of pesticides
dirty,
of any product.
Awful. Yeah, exactly. So that's a plug right there for bulletproofexec.com.
Oh, it's so good. David Asprey.
Yep.
Man, that coffee is... I like it better. Donovan, you said you didn't really tell a difference, but I honestly could tell a difference.
But I couldn't tell a difference.
Yeah. But I also used it with the grass-fed ghee and the MCT oil and all that kind of stuff. So I bought into the product.
So Dave's a cool guy. You have souped up. What does he call it again? Not souped up.
It's upgraded. It's
upgraded. Yeah, upgraded. Yeah. Which is cool. But I think that's really great, and that's smart. And that's what, if you come into my house and look in my pantry, you're not going to find Starbucks there. You're going to find, you're actually going to find decaf. But now, on that real quick, don't go buying just regular decaf anywhere. You have to know that it's water processed. You have to know it's organic. That's the only way. Organic water processed decaf is the only decaf you should touch. Otherwise, your heavy metal exposures just went way, way, way up.
I don't even know that we can be friends anymore. To me, drinking diet or drinking
I'm not going to drink diet.
Decaf coffee. Hold on. Drinking decaf coffee is the same as drinking sugar-free something or another. Do
I have to pull out a cyclic AMP lesson here today too? I can do this.
I don't even care. It's just a matter of principle.
Adenosine monophosphate is an important part of your life, and if you drink caffeine too much, then you are killing your AMP. You're destroying it. So I'm just saying.
I know it, but I love it.
And I'm not going to get into that lesson because that's that one. We need to draw things on boards. To understand that one,
that's okay.
We're not going to do that one.
Yeah, so coffee is good, even though it's the devil. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's the one vice that I have left after many of my younger years. So, but let's get back to. Actually, I want to talk about the zombie coffee. Didn't you get zombie coffee?
I did.
You posted it.
Yeah.
What
I saw
the
that.
hell is
what is
that?
It's
It was
just
a picture.
blend of coffee.
But they're smart to do that. They are smart. They'll sell a lot of zombie
They're
coffee.
branding the Walking Dead, right?
Yeah, I went down to Sonoya where they do filming for The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
and in the coffee shop down there, they're selling that.
Oh, that would be great if that's the coffee that they drank on set.
How far away
Yeah,
is
I'm
that,
not
by
sure
the
if
way?
they
From,
might.
from where we are here in Woodstock, Georgia, how far away is
I don't
Sonoya?
know, like an hour or so.
Okay.
But you put the grass-fed butter in with that coffee, so we effectively made zombie-proof coffee.
Yes.
Or bulletproof,
Or bulletproof
zombie.
zombie.
There
That's
you
what I
go.
call it.
Bulletproof zombie.
I like zombie proof though. That's kind of good.
Zombie-proof coffee.
That's
a hell of a marketing scheme.
That's like you got a little cabbage in there too to throw. brains. Yeah.
And then by the time the zombie apocalypse happens, nobody's gonna sue you, right?
No,
Either if it was wrong, so they don't know the difference.
They don't
So we've talked. How many things have we talked about? Of the 5 now,
I
we've
think
talked about.
we hit nervous system. We hit diet pretty well. Now we've kind of gone into the toxin world a little bit here. So that's 3.
chiropractic, yeah.
Yeah. So that's chiropractic. The nervous
what are we
system.
missing?
Stress, diet, toxins. I think the only one that we haven't really talked about is the exercise one, right? So
Yeah.
it's the one that we always talk about. But it's great. I love it too though because maximize living. So for you guys out there, if you want a chiropractor who's going to help lead you in this, you should go to maximizeliving.com and find a doc because they're going to appreciate that you do CrossFit because we've been teaching for years that long duration cardio is oxidative stress just waiting to destroy you. Like we've been preaching that for years. So long before that message really got out there into the masses, Maximize Living has been saying, hey, you got to get away from that. Sure, you can do long run here and there. Go out and hit the long thing.
Yeah, let's
every
talk
so
about
often.
that because you love doing these adventure races, and
I do.
you have beaten the crap out of your body. From
have.
what I can tell,
I have.
You are so broken. But we talked about that a couple podcasts ago with John North about using
That's
your
right.
fitness and saying screw it and having your quality of life. So to me, that's important too, right? Like health is very, very important. But the only reason we're trying to be healthy is so we can have a higher quality of life for a longer period of time. So
yeah, I mean that's like these 5 essentials. Like, why do we care about these, right? Because you get the guy who's 65 years old and he's freaking cynical as all hell, and says, I'm not giving up I don't want to change I don't want to do and my response is fine. Enjoy your life sitting on the couch.
my dad here?
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Enjoy your life sitting on the couch because that's what you're left with now that you don't want to change, you don't want to do, you just want to go ahead. So fine, just enjoy. And it probably won't be very long when you're probably going to, kick it 71 or so.
Yeah, go buy some diapers.
So the adventure races, and I love talking about the adventure race thing because I use it whenever I get to do an intro to someone coming into CrossFit. I always bring it up and explain how there's a crossover of what we do. And I get into the whole, I get real dorky and I start getting into the energy systems and how that fades. Then we get into the aerobic capacity and the aerobic
And
capacity.
then their eyes start to glaze
They
over.
do, and they kind of go, oh, I don't know what you're saying. And then I say, wake up! And I smack my hands real loud in front of them and say, listen, this is the key part for you to know. That, and I use this example. I say, so if you were doing your kickboxing class, because that's what, they come in, like, I do kickboxing. So if you do your kickboxing class, and at the end of an hour, if your teacher, if your instructor at the front of the room says, hey, everyone, we just got lucky. We got the room for an extra half hour. We're going to go 30 minutes more. And so I say, so what's your response? I mean, your response might be, oh, well, no, I want to be done. I did an hour.
I need my latte.
But so then I ask, so can you keep going or are you done? Could you physically keep going? And of course the response is, well, yeah, I could. Oh, you could. Okay. All right. So at the end of another extra 30 minutes, they say, hey, we get it for another 30. Let's keep going. Could you keep going? Well, yeah, I could. Okay, so great. So now you understand that you have been working out for that hour at 60 to 70% max. That's it. That's where you are.
Yeah.
You're never bumping into your aerobic threshold. You're never bumping into lactate threshold. Your VO2 max hasn't moved anywhere, right? It hasn't gone anywhere. So then I explained, so I'm going to work out an average of 7 to 15 minutes per workout. That's what I do, throughout the course of the year. And then I'm going to go hit a race with Andy, and we're going to go hit a 30-hour adventure race. And so we're going to race in the woods nonstop for 30 hours. And we can go back a couple years. We had Batista with us as well, and we beat professional teams that get paid to do this. We beat them. And why? Because they do their 6 hours on the weekend, but they have a hard time ever figuring out how to push that VO2 as far as they could because they're never near threshold. And we're at threshold all the stinking time, man. We're just there. We're at the top. So what I'm telling you is if you want all the cardio benefit in less the time, without the oxidative stress, so that means less damage that's going to turn into vascular issues or cancerous issues, then you should be doing CrossFit. You should be doing short duration, high intensity. That's what you have to do, period.
Yeah, and not necessarily even CrossFit.
No,
if you're
yeah,
totally
exactly.
against it,
I just changed what I just changed.
exactly.
You're right. You don't have to do CrossFit.
Yeah.
So maximize living, like they teach a burst training thing internal, so people who don't do anything, we're like, oh, burst training, which is basically Tabata-ish type stuff, intervals, whatnot. And it's good stuff. I like it. I just like CrossFit more.
So if you're kicking yourself to death, right, in these CrossFit workouts, that's obviously really, really jacking up your central nervous system. So, which we're saying is a good thing.
It is.
But then we talk about volume a lot, and we talk about how much of a good thing does it take for it to not be a good thing anymore, right? And basically that's what that is like, are you constantly in your PNS? So my main issue as going over all these gyms are like my executive guys, and maybe not necessarily Donovan, but guys that own small businesses or something like that. They work 60, 70 hours a week. They they drink pretty much every night because they're socializing with their work. They've got a wife, they've got kids, they've got all these big bills, and then they come in here and they try and work out 6-7 times a week at high intensity, and they wonder why they've got these love handles that they can't get rid of, and B, why they can't sleep at night, and why they're having to drink coffee in the morning and they have to cool down with alcohol at night, and this is just this total cycle and mess, and they think that they need to work out more to be better.
They need a lifestyle coach.
Exactly.
Right? So they don't just need a gym coach, they need a lifestyle coach, because those people are totally they're totally screwing up their systems, because there's no recovery, there's no balance there at all, right? And so you mentioned it totally, the love handle thing, right? So the cortisol production is high. We know we're living in this area where it's like all just fight or flight syndrome all the time. Donovan, have you ever overtrained, would you say?
Yes.
So what was that like? Tell me about it.
No,
How
you
did
haven't.
know?
There's no such thing as overtraining. There is such thing as under-recovering.
Maybe that's it.
Okay.
I've done that, done stretches where, 2 to 3 week stretches without a rest day.
Yeah, you were not able to recover from the work you were doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just feel beat up all the time, and
Well, we see it all the time, right? And so do any gym owners, affiliate owners, coaches who are listening. You guys have seen it before too, where people go away for 2 weeks on a vacation or something, and they come back, and it happens to be a heavy lift day, right? Like a 1 rep max, and they PR.
Right.
Well, it's not all the time. It's like every time.
Oh yeah, every time.
Almost
Yeah.
every single time.
Right.
And they're like, it's amazing that I do it. And you want to say, yeah, it is amazing, but like, no, you are just happen to be recovered now.
Yeah,
it's exactly what's supposed to happen.
Your data point is where it belongs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly. It's not supposed to be anywhere else. It's supposed to be there. But people think that. They go away and they're like, oh, I'm so glad I'm back. I feel like I've just been getting weaker the whole time I've been gone. I'm like, well, wait and see what happens. You've actually probably been getting stronger.
Yeah. In 3-4 days, okay, but yeah, probably 2-3 weeks, maybe if you haven't done anything then and you've been out drinking, then yeah, maybe it could be an issue. I had a guy that went to over at our Town Lake location. He went to Vegas, and he was obviously out at Vegas for a couple weekends, or for I don't know how many, 4 or 5 days, 6 days, or something like that. And he came back, and he was really beat up because he went to Vegas. Right?
Sure.
It's a completely different situation.
It is.
So, but
Go to the beach with your kids, and it's like, oh, well, the kids go to sleep at this time, and you can't really leave the house because the kids are asleep, and so I guess I'm just going to go to sleep. And then you start sleeping like 8-9 hours. Like last year, I took my wife off to Vieques for her 40th birthday. It's a little island of Puerto Rico, off of Puerto Rico. And, it was just us, no kids, whatever. And so we'd go and hang out at night, but then we'd sleep forever. Like I slept 9 hours like almost every night, and I never sleep 9 hours. And I felt just so good. I mean, I felt so recovered. It's like, wow, I just feel good.
But you're not fit then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to be as fit as you can possibly, you've got to train 30 hours a week.
I need to be more sore.
You've got to train 30 hours a week, and that's the biggest thing. And that's my question: is health fitness, right? Or it's not my question. That's what I'm trying to drive home to people. That it's two completely different things. And people that want to come in here and go to the CrossFit Games or be a competitive athlete in any way, shape, or form, be it weightlifting or basketball, whatever it is, it's a completely different lifestyle, and it's a completely different sacrifice from saying I want to be super mom, or
Sure.
I want to be able to play with my grandkids when I'm 90. Like that's health and fitness are two different things, and I think that's maybe one of the issues that I have with the kind of original idea behind CrossFit is that it was bunched in together, and it's not the same thing. Health and fitness is not the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's good to see that, right? That you have to sacrifice health a little bit in many cases. I mean, and maybe there's a way not to, but in most cases you see that if you want to be elitely fit, that you're probably going to sacrifice health a little bit to gain that elite fitness along the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like
it's
anything else. I mean, if you want to be that much better at one thing, you're going to have to sacrifice something else. You can be fit and be healthy.
Absolutely.
Donovan, there you go. Donovan's extremely fit and he's extremely healthy. But is his health, if he wanted to try and do the games and the amount of training that he would do, would he have the health that he has now? No, absolutely not. You wouldn't be able to eat
Plus,
the way
I
that
wouldn't
you eat
even make it anyway.
Hey,
stop with that self-depredation, man.
So Donovan, let's talk real quick. Let's go back in and hit this toxin thing, the detox thing, because I think that's kind of cool. Because there's a buzzword in that whole minimize toxins, world, which is the buzzword is simply detox, and I like to address that because we don't want to talk about detox like it's a right-sided advertisement on weather.com. Because if you go there, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? Weather.com, right side, lose 5 pounds in a day. You're like, ooh, let's do that, right? So that's not what we're after. But you've done some cleanses. So tell me about cleanses you've done as far as what you've done or how you felt after cleansing. And tell me why. Do you have a reason why you've done some of these cleanses?
Oh, probably your influence.
Okay. Well,
So.
He just does whatever Eric tells him
Yeah.
to.
I like people like you.
It's working. It's working though.
Now I've done the Swero cleanse, just a 3-day
Okay.
cleanse, and I don't know, felt good.
Okay, so Swirl Cleanse, just for anyone looking at this, listening, 3 days, and you're drinking just cultured whey beverage. It's a beyond organic drink, and the cultured whey. What do you think? What would you say as far as taste? What do you think?
If you're coming off a fast food and soft drink diet, it probably does not taste.
Not tasty.
See, that makes me
good.
feel good because my wife's done several of the cleanses, and I've just stolen one here or there, and she talks about how horrible they are. I'm like, I think they taste great.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I don't. A lot of them are pretty good.
And
I
I've
like
never done a cleanse, so I'm not pushing the product. I don't get paid for it or anything like that. But I think they taste good. They're kind of sour. It's like a sugar-free lemonade type thing or whatever, but she hates them. But she's done the cleanse like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah. So I've got an end point in mind here with this whole conversation. So just so you know, we're heading somewhere. So
let's get to it.
So
where we're at.
Yeah. So tell me. So 3 days, and you're doing nothing but drinking cultured whey.
Right.
Each one has between 100 and 120 calories per drink, right? So, and you're drinking about 6. Did you do 6 a day, or do you end up falling short? Just curious.
No, I kept up with it.
Okay. So 6 to 720. Were they? Did you do the gold one at one point in time?
Yes.
So
I've done it twice. The first one was
like
silver,
silver, bronze. Okay.
and then gold.
Yeah, so somewhere around 700 calories a day. First one, second one, 600 calories a day, and not a whole lot of really useful, calorie in that. Not a whole lot of just, like energy there. Really designed. The point of it, and just I'll touch on this, is to really heal the gut. I mean, the point of it is, when is the last time that you let your gut just stop and heal? And obviously for Justin, it was when he was born. So never, right? So our point is, let's just let this thing heal for a little bit. But I love asking people. I have to
round this up because I'm almost out of Starbucks sugar.
Oh man, maybe. So how did you feel when you got to 3 days and you haven't eaten anything? You weren't even drinking these drinks. How did you feel?
Actually, by the 3rd day, I was ready to keep going. So maybe the 2nd day was the toughest, and then once I got to day 3, I felt good again, and had worked out the whole time, and the workouts didn't suffer.
Awesome.
And I felt like, wow, I could probably go for 6 days.
Yeah, and I bring that up because the point is, I've seen so many people do this in my office, and if I have someone who comes through from a cultural standpoint where they've been doing cultural diet, they don't feel like that. At day 3, they feel punished. They are just dying to go get something to eat. They want to sink their teeth into something. Someone who's been doing a diet that is a diet that might be more paleo-ish, and I don't teach just paleo. I think that
Some
it's
more whole foods.
Yeah, whole foods.
Yeah,
so,
we talked about that.
Yeah, we got a podcast.
Dr.
that
David
you can
Jockers.
Go check that out. And really, I look at that and I realize that the person who has that that balanced digestion, that balanced energy system where blood sugar tends to be pretty level throughout their days. They're not spiking and cresting and spiking. I mean, they're doing a really good job with that. That person always, every single time, by day 3, feels like they wouldn't ever have to eat food again, which isn't true. But to feel that way is cool, because what it means when you get through a cleanse and you feel that way, what that tells you is that your body knows how to gain energy from the stores in the body. And it knows how to do it in a way that is very successful and efficient for function. Because you go, you work out, you do this thing. Now, I do want to point out that I had someone who, a guy who I told him, hey, I was talking about leptin, which is a hormone that really has a lot to do with this whole thing here. And I was telling him that a good way to check and test your leptin is to see, can you fast for a day? And in that fast, so just drink water, can you work out and can you be comfortable? Can you get to the end of the day? Can you do a good workout? Can you get to the end of the day and kind of just say, I didn't eat today?
Yeah.
Like, can you do that? Or are you like, oh, God, I need to eat?
I'm dying, yeah.
So I'm going to address this. He posted this question on the Whole 9 Nutrition Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And they came back with we think that's a horrible idea. We think that's a horrible idea. The amount of cortisol that you're going to release from the stress of not eating and working out is just way too far overboard. And so the reason I got to this end, is to say bogus. Crap, bogus, garbage, useless, no way, impossible. If you are a person who has been eating a clean diet, because your body knows, I mean, you probably go some days without eating for long periods of time anyways and don't really feel it.
Yeah, I typically do not eat until about 2 o'clock, except for my grass-fed butter and MCT oil in the mornings on days that I don't train.
Yeah. And so the reality is that if you are doing the right thing and you're living in this lifestyle, that your body is way more resilient to that stress than what was expressed in that post back on that on the Whole 9 Facebook page. And I've done it many times. I fast every Friday and have no issue with it. And I know that my stress level is absolutely fine. The cortisol release is minimal. I mean, I get that. I can tell. And so the reason to get to this is that I think a great thing to offer up to people is that as you go further down this path, you should be testing yourself and testing your need for nutrition, because ultimately you want to know that your body knows how to cleave energy from fat stores, period.
So what about the no-budget athlete? Is there maybe a way to do this without buying the Swirl Vive? Like, is there something that you could do to your diet, just taking things out, or to get you maybe ready for it if you're not already?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that you could try something like this. It'd be similar. It wouldn't quite be the same because of the sugar content's up a little bit higher, but you could do a coconut water type of a drink. The idea is that we want to keep some electrolytes in. Now, the Swirl Vive is cool because that one drives a whole bunch of probiotic in too, so you're kind of healing the gut and replenishing probiotic at the same time. You could find some ways to do that with you could take and do a cultured, maybe a little bit of cultured whey or something that you just add to it.
What about heavy cream and syrup in your coffee?
No.
So I can't live off of a double shot espresso with heavy cream, a venti?
Shouldn't do that.
I shouldn't do that?
No.
I couldn't live?
No. So that's probably the biggest thing that goes wrong with people who are doing that.
Podcast is over.
In the 3 days that they end up having absolute caffeine withdrawals. That's probably the worst thing that happens. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I can't do that.
So
well, cool. Well, yeah, I think that's it's been pretty informative there.
I think we've had a good one. Yeah. Donovan, do you have anything you want to add about your health walk? I mean, just anything that you want to throw in there?
No, just that I'm constantly learning. I mean, I experiment all the time. In removing things from my diet or adding things and trying different things. I have no answers. I don't know the one true way or anything. So I'm always use myself as my own experimental.
So there's a good point right there that we can probably end on. Like when you're in your like 20s and teens or whatever, you experiment on your body maybe in other situations, right? Like with other external things, right? And then once you start getting a little bit older, you realize maybe I should start experimenting with my body on how to be healthy instead of destroy it.
Yeah.
So
it's funny how that changes. I see a lot of people who do that. They come around.
Instead of the party drugs, you start thinking about ways to get rid of all the crap that you did when you were younger. So, but Donna, you never did any drugs when you were younger, right? This is going to be on the internet.
He was Marines. Of course
he was Marines. Of course not. Absolutely not.
Come on.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I guess That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna plug. You know what I'm gonna plug is because we happened to touch on it today. We touched on the whole adventure racing thing and that deal. So I'm gonna plug this thing for CrossFitters and non-CrossFitter athletes alike that I think is a cool test. You have to have a very high opinion of yourself to do this. But I've been doing a little work on it this past couple weeks here. It's the Fire Breather Challenge, which that's one of our obstacle course races that we do. But it's the Fire Breather Challenge Destiny Run. October 18th and 19th, I think is the date. This year in Coe, Tennessee, basically a 24-hour self-navigated race where you're basically navigating yourself through the woods of Coe, Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
And you're getting yourself, there's 12 challenges, we think 12 at this point, maybe a little bit more, but probably at least 12 challenges along the way, which are like CrossFit workouts.
So there won't be actual checkpoints.
So the checkpoint is basically you get to the challenge, and then at that challenge, you'll be explained, this is what you have to do. And there'll be, in some cases, a mentally challenging component along with the physical challenging component. And then when you're ready, and you know you're ready, you 3, 2, 1, go that, and you'll get a score for each of those. So you get an overall score, which will be weighted as probably the greatest percentage. And then each of those individual scores for those challenges will be, as a total, they'll be the most. I mean, they'll be about 70% for all of those.
I was wondering when you were going to start doing an adventure race. I couldn't believe that you hadn't done one yet just because you guys like them so much.
Yeah,
so
well,
cool. That's October
18th and 19th. So firebreatherchallenge.com is a way to look at that. Or if you look at, if you just do a search for Fire Breather Challenge Destiny Run on Facebook, you'll find out information there as well.
Maybe don't sign up for that if you've never done a 5K before.
No, you definitely want to have done the 5K. And if you've never navigated before but have a very a high opinion of your ability to understand a topographic map quickly,
email Andy at the Garage Games.
Actually, Andy has a few times he's posted up like, hey, here are some orienteering races in the Southeast you can go do, you can practice, you can learn. Basically, compass and a map is what, you'll be given the map, you better have the compass, and you just got to get yourself from point to point to point to point. And we'll do our best to make sure that if you get lost in the woods, you don't die. But we can't really.
You're going to sign a waiver.
You
first.
will sign a waiver that you could die in the woods. You definitely will sign that waiver. So.
Or you could just sign up for the Rangers, for the Special Forces, because they have to do that stuff too, and they'll teach you how to do orienteering.
Yeah, if you could get that done between now and October, you'll be all set.
There you go. That's fine. Yeah, just go through officer school.
Donovan, you thinking about doing that race?
No.
Okay.
That's not health.
That's not in your.
That. All
There's
right,
definitely
guys.
high stress in that one for sure.
Well, cool. That's it. I guess I don't need to plug anything. You guys are already watching GGTV, so there you go.
Well, good, Donovan. Thank you so much.
Make sure you like all of our videos. Donovan, Conrad, thank you very much for coming on.
It.
And that's it. Another one in the books.
See you guys on the healthy side. So that one.